opportunities for environmentally sustainable development addressing air and water pollution, and we'll be covering the domains from health and food to lifestyle and fashion and also mobility and transport. And in order to cover all those aspects, we have the panel made up accordingly. So firstly, I would like to invite Dr. Rajarshi Bhattacharjee, who's the National Head Health and Wellness, Times Foundation, Times of India. Let's hear it for him. Next we have Mr. Sandeep Srivastav, who is the Senior Vice President, Corporate Sustainability and Environment, Ambuja Cements Limited. Then I would like to invite Dr. Bhupender Gill, who is the Director, Parimukh Innovations. I would like to invite Dr. Chirashri Ghosh, Associate Professor, Department of Environmental Studies, University of Delhi. I haven't met her, so I'm not sure if she has made it. And the last one is Dr. Jitendra Nagar, Secretary General, Environment and Social Development Association, Delhi. So I think he's coming later here. Okay, no issue. So we'll start off with the panel. I think the weather has impacted a few things here. And Mr. S.K. Goyal had to also join us from Needy. But he had a minor accident this morning, so but all is well. But he mentioned, and because last evening he had confirmed to us, and this morning something happened. We just wish him speedy recovery. So we'll go ahead with the session for now, and putting it into perspective, I think I already mentioned the title of the session. I'll not take much time in putting the context. Leave it to the experts now. Firstly, I would like to request Dr. Rajarshi to share his thoughts, which I think will be more focused on the health and wellness perspective and how it is impacted by air and water pollution state in our country. So may I please request you to come over?
Hello everyone. So when we got in touch with Ashish and Namita, it was in our last program on Airthon, and we thought that only discussing air pollution actually doesn't suffice. And let me start by going into our health industry. I've seen health industry up close and personal, with proximity being a doctor and also being a patient. In recent times, I'm working on nosocomial infection eradication. For everybody, I'll simplify it. It's cross-infection eradication in hospitals, which is a huge factor globally. Globally, people don't accept it. In India, hospitals have been modest enough, and it's their humility that they've accepted that there is a serious threat of nosocomial infection happening in hospitals. So we've started pilot projects. We, as in I represent the Times Foundation, Times of India group, and what I do is pick up topics which are relevant to the society and try and resolve it and show solutions to the stakeholders. So when it first happened, so that my wife was going through a treatment, and when we used to go to hospitals, it was a prolonged treatment of cancer. And when I used to go to the hospital post her surgery and during radiation, we used to sit in the seating area. And as I don't know if you know, most of the cancer patients are very immunocompromised. They have very low immunity. So we used to all sit together with other patients who are also immunocompromised and the relatives of the patients. So we used to have time slots, and it used to so happen that there used to be people, relatives, who were coughing, sneezing, etc., etc. So I used to keep on asking the doctors, who were my friends, that why do you make all the immunocompromised people sit together when they come into the hospital to get cured, but they go back catching a serious infection which takes ages to get cured. So there was no solution. They accepted the fact, yes, this is not the correct way to do it. Even when we walk into hospitals, we see that there is a huge seating area. And more often than not, that seating area is the den for viruses. So what did we do about it? We did nothing, and we kept on kind of checking out solutions, checking out technologies, till I came across an organization which has a stall there, I noticed, Sharp. And I happen to know the president of Sharp India, and I was in discussion with him, and we got some technologies from Japan. Recently, there's a pilot project going on in Indraprastha Apollo in the dialysis unit. If you are interested, you just can walk in and actually check that ongoing pilot project, where we have actually managed to arrest the infection spread in that entire perimeter. So the entire premise of my talk is that there are technologies, there are ways, and people, the students, entrepreneurs, I would actually encourage them to check out new technologies, check out and come and create technologies. See, these technologies are coming from Japan, it's not India centric. So in Japan, the virus load is different. In Europe, the virus load is different. In India, it's absolutely different. So we need India technology that is India based. I had come across another organization. They are doing purification in homes. The new Godrej homes which are coming, it's called homes with clean air. So the technology is used in those homes, but it's still not used in hospitals. So there's a lot of scope for us to innovate and come out with technologies which are India centric, and it can at least make hospitals a better place to live in. We don't say live in, but at least to go in and come out very fast. The designing of hospitals also play a huge issue on our healthcare systems. There's a famous study which actually says that if there's a lot of natural light and natural air coming into a hospital, the stay for a patient in hospital decreases dramatically in comparison to a hospital which doesn't have windows or air. So that is what the designers of hospitals should look into, and not create hospitals just to have immense amount of rooms with no infrastructural windows, but hospitals which have clean air, which have clean view, and which have a good amount of cross ventilation happening in the hospital. Having said that, when we talk about pollution at large, and Ashish had asked me to kind of deliberate on the health hazards that pollution is creating. So we read in newspapers every day. I also represent the media industry, unfortunately or fortunately, where I get access to a lot of news, and also news that is catered to you, which might not be true always. So, but the scary part is what we actually read is just the tip of the iceberg. We do not reveal what actually is happening in the industry or in our country. The situation is far worse than what we actually understand, be it air, be it water. So the air we breathe, the food we eat is not healthy. To be very honest, the level of arsenic is growing very rapidly in the water. We've read a news very recently saying that by 2020 Delhi can't consume rice because of the arsenic level which is going up kind of in the water. I happen to come from a state called West Bengal, where we are primarily rice eaters. And West Bengal had arsenic level at least 2 years back, which was very high. So where do we eat them from? The groundwater is depleting. Rightly said by one of our panelists just before me, that the population is growing at large. We don't have access to enough water. And so the food we eat is contaminated. FSSAI is doing a lot, but FSSAI needs to look into much more than what they are doing now. Put stringent control of where crops should be grown, how it should be grown, and how much it should be grown. The milk we drink, again, contamination at large. It's coming from all news which you guys have read. I'm just deciphering it or bringing notice. so that you remember what news you've read in recent past. So yes, so there is a solution to everything. Our policies and law needs to be much more stringent than what it is. I've recently worked on agricultural and non-agricultural air pollution. There are organizations like, I'll name Sonalika, who's doing a lot to eradicate or at least minimize air pollution caused by agricultural method. We had done a very good session and introduced happy cedar as one of the solution to eradicate or at least minimize stubble burning in Haryana and Punjab. In recent award ceremony, I guess, happy cedar has been awarded as one of the new innovations which have tackled environmental pollution to a large extent. So I can go on and on, but I guess we have stringencies in the time. So I'll open and close my speech with the thing.